All right, guys. So I've got a good guy called Aaron Berk. This is my 16th ICO interview in the blockchain space. And oh boy, Aaron's got a great man himself. He's come from a very sort of good experience background in terms of the projects he's working with, the business he's working with. And it's good to get his views and hear his views about Artified, an antiques coin that he wants to trade with crypto, with the world currency. And basically, he's a very historical man himself who's trying to revolutionize this technology to go into the antique space and basically look at ways where antiques and cryptocurrency can work hand in hand together. So, this is my 15th interview. We're on a roll. It's good to get this out to my followers. And, man, it's amazing to get Aaron on board. So welcome, Aaron. Welcome to the interview.
It's great to be here.
I can tell you might feel like I'm a bit an exciting character. My audience, they love my humor. They love my personality. And it's great to, share my excitement about good projects like Artified. And one of the key questions I want to ask you is, first tell me about it yourself. Why did you start the project? What got you going, man? I mean, what was the real deal about Artified? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, I should be wearing a London hat to kind of compete with your New York hat.
He's not the only one who said that, but a lot of my guys say that as well, yeah.
And I have something to cover up, but I'm cool with it.
Cool. So, maybe in the follow-up, maybe when I get to 30,000 followers, we can do a follow-up and you can wear your cap,
That's true. Yeah,
so let's fire away.
So, I've been in the coin and antiquity business for 26 years.
Right.
My family business started in 1964, and we are one of the world leaders in ancient coins. We're probably top 10 in the world for ancient coins. Wow. Small industry.
Guys, the top 10. So do tune that in. That's quite a good record.
Yeah, so we're known all over the world for doing that, and we've built some major collections, not only for museums, but also private collectors. But at my company, we have about 15 employees, and we deal in U.S. coins, world coins, currency, ancient artifacts, which is one of my specialties, as well as ancient coins. We have about a 7,000 volume library just on coins.
Right.
That's actually a satellite library for one of the local University of Chicago libraries.
And Aaron, that's your background, right? You've always been in antiques, right?
Yeah, so this is what I do full time.
What a great guy, guys. He's been in his background for over 20 years. He's very involved. Yeah.
Yeah, over 25 years. So
over 25 years, guys.
My father's still in the business at 76. So, and still going strong. In this business, you don't really leave. You leave, feet first after this business. You never really retire. It's a passion. So, I started Artified back in January, and I saw a fit between blockchain technology and what we do in the space. I saw some correlations that I thought that would be important to help revolutionize my industry and disrupt my industry, which is what really, in my opinion, what blockchain is all about. It's not about efficiency, but it's also about disrupting and changing the status quo.
And you want to go into the antiques and do that, right? You want to get into, which we're going to talk about.
Exactly. So, and what's beautiful about my industry, especially the coin industry, is that because it's a small industry, it's easy to make changes, revolutionary changes, if you get the right people involved. And I know all the right people, which is great for me. It's tougher in some blockchain technology to get it forward, because if you're talking about the insurance or healthcare, you've got billions and billions of dollars already set in infrastructure. And so it's tough to make movements in those spaces without, the big guys kind of stepping in and saying, no, we're still here. Yeah. So in my industry, we can make changes and you can do revolutionary things. There is an old boys network and it can be tough at some points, but there's still a lot of money involved. The U.S. coin industry alone, just U.S. coins and bullion, is about a $3 billion market per year. So I mean, it's
That's
just
huge.
coins. It's just coins, but it's big.
Right.
And then when you talk about ancient coins, much smaller industry, and that's probably about a half a billion dollars. So it's in relation to U.S. coins, it's much smaller, but as a whole, the whole market, you could be talking, in the billions of dollars. And then we're talking about all art forms really in the end. So I
So,
also
so
feel, go
yeah.
ahead.
So I mean, Artified. That's all good and well. I know blockchain is revolutionizing. I know things are changing. I know great projects like your project, Artified, which is the first of the I've heard of in the antiques, coin business. Especially in cryptocurrency. What are you guys trying to do, man? I mean, what is it? What is it you're trying to do that I can tell my 25,000 followers what is it's all about?
Well, first off, I'm not a tech guy. I don't come from the tech world.
I am.
I come from I come from my industry looking to make changes and where I can make adoption happen.
Right.
So I'm kind of going from the other direction. So my first, and so our project has kind of changed gears a little bit as we've learned and as we've gone forward. So the beginning was to kind of put pedigrees and crowdsource some of the vetting in blockchain technology on the network. But as we learned, there is another competitor out there, which we'll talk about later. But and so I kind of decided how I wanted to make movements and what was the best way to go about it. And so we actually started to develop gaming, and which is also really big in the space. And I just I'm a deep thinker, so I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are too, and you like to see big change and you like to see how you can make changes. And in my industry, in my demographics, most of my clients are on Facebook still. So
They got to get away from that.
but that's our demographic. So I have two personal accounts, one for business and one for family. My business one, I've got 5,000 followers, which is the limit. But I can reach, with one Facebook push, not even spending any money on it, just me talking to my followers, I can get around the entire industry. In fact, I just did it recently where I messaged something that somebody didn't like, and I had dealers from all over the world complaining because they didn't like what I had to say. So it's a very powerful message to get out there. So I know that's where my demographics are. I know that's where my followers are. And so I know bringing gaming through Facebook in the form of quizzes is the way to go. And I've got,
good for you there.
Yeah. So I have about 150,000 images of coins and artifacts. And so that's ancient coins, US coins, and world coins. And so we've developed an iOS app that actually brings up the images. You can flip them back and forth, obverse, reverse, and it'll ask you questions. There will be points awarded, and the points will tie into our token. And so there'll be a marketplace as well, so you'll actually be able to spend your points into the token to actually buy real coins. Wow. So that's kind of the direction we're headed.
The average person watching this video, I mean, tell us in a very clear nutshell what is Artified and what is it you're trying to do in a simplest way, because obviously less than 1% of the world know about blockchain. They're still trying to grasp the fact. We know it's going to get big, but what is it you do in a nutshell?
Well, it's all about transparency, right? So that's what I see blockchain is it is transparency. So I still want to bring vetting, crowd vetting, because and pedigree, not so much pedigree as much as vetting. Vetting is extremely important in my industry. You can have one or two people say that something is good or not good, fake, not fake, is a good buy, is not a good buy. But if you can get 10,000 people to say something is good or bad, or give their opinions on it, it gives the buyer and the dealer that transparency to know if their item is not only valuable, but whether or not it's real or not. That's extremely important, and it brings value to that object as well. You could even tie it into museums. Museums have good things, they have bad things. Even there are fakes at museums. You probably, your viewers have probably heard of, I just heard recently there was a gallery, or no, a museum in Paris or outside of Paris that had a bunch of French Impressionist paintings that were all fake.
Right.
So, and it took one curator to an academic to actually go to the opening, to actually see the paintings and then to identify it. Otherwise, it would have been closed and nobody would have seen it until they actually went to the opening. So if those paintings were online and being vetted, they would have known straight away that those items were fake and would have had a better idea before they went out and spent the money on those things.
So with so with your project, how does that tune in, sort of thing, with Artified?
So one, we're going to be bringing them in with the games. Once we have them in, we're going to throw betting questions into the game, as well as publishing those to our Artified website, and those will actually be on the blockchain and be verified on the blockchain. Also, we're coming up with a payment program using our token. Now, we've had a new relationship, so I just flew down south this past Thursday, and there is a group, I'm not going to mention it yet because it's not completely finished, but there's a group of about 1,000 dealers who have stores across the United States.
That's pretty good.
It's all the biggest mover and shakers in U.S. coins. This is that $3 billion market that I'm talking about.
Which you want to tap into.
There's a closed group, and there's an app and a website dedicated to all these dealers doing wholesale business. The site has only been open for 3 months. It's already done $500,000 in 3 months. So we
won't talk about the fundamentals too much. Let's get to the basics, because I've got some very key questions to ask you. Maybe we can do that in a follow-up. So Artified is a very, prestigious platform. It's changing the antiques business in cryptocurrency, right? And one of the next questions I want to ask you is how are you using that in blockchain technology, and you're saying transparency is important. How transparent do you want to be?
Well, I think that when it comes to vetting and pedigree, it should be very transparent. You want to have any client be able to log into Artified and search our database of images of all items that have been vetted and have pedigree and see exactly what that pedigree is. So if pedigree and vetting are always tied to a piece and are always transparent for the world to see, it's just going to make a much better environment for our industry as a whole. And it actually brings value to those pieces, because the more pedigree, the more vets that you get to a piece and add it to that piece that's on the blockchain, you actually will increase the value, and it'll go higher and higher and higher. I can talk about ancient artifacts because of the issues in Syria and Iraq with all the stolen artifacts. It's very important to have pedigrees, because you don't want to have looted material. So anything that's pre-1970, museums and institutions are allowed to purchase. It follows the UNESCO Treaty of 1971. So if I have an item that's pre-1970, I can ask between 3 and 10 times the amount of regular retail value based on the pedigree alone. Wow. When it comes to U.S. coins, not so important, because most U.S. coins are legal, and it's not as important. So now the vetting becomes very important. If I've got 10,000 people that says this is a fantastic coin, this is most desirable coin you could ever own, how many people do you think are going to want to own that coin? So again, you're creating a frenzy, and that's going to draw the value of your items going up in value as well. Now, if we switch gears and we go to the cryptocurrency side of things, so this is just we're talking about just the blockchain technology. So for the crypto side of things, we're going to develop a token that those dealers within that marketplace will be able to use and trade for instant money to each other. This is actually great, because this is showing adoption of cryptocurrency in a regular environment. This is very important. We will, at the beginning, keep it as a closed environment, because we want to make sure that the dealers feel comfortable using the token, and we don't want to have the value of the currency flipping all over the place.
It's quite volatile, right?
What's that?
It's quite volatile as well.
Yeah, and we can't have that. We have to have it tied. In our case, it'll be tied to the U.S. dollar, and it will be very closed and very tight. And we will probably run it on a private network at first, because we want to make sure, again, that it's all being used and controlled the way we want it to be controlled. And when you're only talking about 1,000 dealers, you can do that on a private network very easily. And we'll verify it ourselves and have all the things. But it'll work just like cryptocurrency. It just won't be open to the real world. Then later on, after we jump through all our hoops with the SEC, we're going to go
up and down there with the SEC. But I do think something's great's gonna happen down the line.
Absolutely. If you follow the rules and you pay your dues, and you actually have a project that's out there that's real, and you're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, you can actually then do an ICO properly. And our ICO will have a relationship then to the token that's available within that closed network. So we'll actually then open it up, and there'll be a silver token and a gold token. And those tokens actually have relations to each other. So if you wanted to buy a coin or another piece of artwork, you'll be able to do it with the silver token that we eventually release. But it'll also be a way for people in the world to invest in our project and to be able for us to build a long project. My goal is not short term, my goal is long term. I want something that's going to be here for the next generation and the generation to follow. I'm already part of a company that's great. I want to build something on the blockchain side.
Long term. All right, guys.
So, that's my long-term play with this. And also because I'm a leader in what I do, I know how to get this adopted. It's just getting the right tech people behind it, which right now I've got a pretty good crew getting me to where I need to go with the gaming. The other thing about the gaming, which is really, really important, is in my industry, it's very important to get youth involved in collecting. So this is actually going to be a great educational tool because we're going to be able to tag certain quizzes. Like for instance, coins really tell a history. In Roman coins, they were propaganda. So you can know what happened 2,000 years ago based on what the coin said. So you can actually tag coins by mythology or different historical context, and kids can actually take the quiz and then actually learn about crypto as well as history all in one nutshell, and collecting, because they're going to be able to buy virtual images in the marketplace and actually build collections, kind of like crypto kitties in a way. So, which is also really important.
Right.
And that's something huge as well. So that's also part of the marketplace that we're going to be developing, is being able to trade virtual images as well as buy them. And actually, we're going to do some real life connections with the coin industry when it comes to the virtual. So we're going to try to bring the virtual and reality together in the same place.
There you go, guys. I mean, what a great answer that is about Artified, about what it's doing. It wants to be very transparent. It wants to have a clear road ahead of where it's thinking long term. And they don't want to think short term. They want to think long term in terms of how they're going to revolutionize, the antiques coin industry into blockchain and change this impact into more of a digital asset tied to the USD pairing. So it's going to be a very secure and safe blockchain business, to prevent the volatility occurring. Now, what I want to know is from Artified is, what are you doing to build trust with your customers, your clients? You mentioned about transparency. What is it that, how blockchain and your customers can work together in order to build that sort of trust? There's a lot of scams going on now. There's a lot of, topsy-turvy regulations. Blockchain, less than 1% of the world know about it. It is growing. What is it you're trying to do with Artified in terms of your customers to show that you are the competitor?
Well, the beautiful thing about having a company that's been around for over 50 years is we're already proven in our industry. We already have the trust of our clients. So, trust and reputation is everything in my business. I send people $50,000 coins on Handshake. So that's just the way our industry runs. And so my clients already know us to be trustworthy. We even give a lifetime guarantee on everything we sell for authenticity. We just have to. And
that's a good call, guys. I hope my audience is listening to that. Yep.
So, based on our reputation in our industry, we feel like we can bring a lot of the blockchain ideas that we are coming up with Artified to my industry. And then from there, building that, that faith we already have and that trust we already have within our own environment and our own industry will then keep growing it beyond that. Just to give you an idea.
In terms of using blockchain now, how are you going to leverage? Because you've got that great trust that you've built over 25 years, and I respect a gentleman like you to actually build a business and actually build it trustworthy. How are you going to now use blockchain to transfer that sort of thing? Yeah.
Well, you have to do it slowly. You can't just jump into the lake. You have to put a foot in at a time and kind of walk in slowly. And so doing it through the quizzes are a great way to get people used to the idea. And so you get them not feeling like they're using blockchain really in the beginning. And when they finally are in it, then they'll realize and say, oh, that's not so bad. And so you have to, it's the way you sell it. It's the way you present it. It's your angle and how you talk about it. And I think doing it through the quizzes, in my industry, everybody loves education. It's one of the, the most important things you can do in my industry. Even after 26 years of me doing this, I learn something every day. So, and the same is true for blockchain. We're all learning every day. What was true about blockchain 2 years ago is not what it is today. It won't be what it is tomorrow. It's constantly changing. So it's a matter of taking the old school kind of mentality and matching it with the modern day thinking. So, and there's a bridge between the two. And I think for us, it's about the quizzes. That's where we're going to be bringing it to them, and then bringing in that transparency on the Artified website. So when we actually have items that people can search and actually see what kind of transparency that there is, you'll start to build trust in layers. And eventually they'll be all the way in the water and they'll be underneath and breathing fine.
That's a great answer, buddy. And I like the fact that, you put your neck on the line to share what Artified is in terms of how it's using blockchain as a technology to change this industry. Now, tell us about your token. You briefly touched upon it. What are you trying to do with your token, especially in this space, in the antique space? Tell us a little about this gaming. I want my audience to get an understanding. Let's get this interview out where there's an understanding of, so they can understand what is going on with Artified when I share this,
So the token economics are very interesting, and we're still developing some of that. So the gold token will be used within the platform that we're about ready to create this relationship with. And the relationship that I'm going to be developing is an actual, not only am I getting money from this company to help us merge, but I'm going to be swapping equity with them as well.
Right.
That's really important because
do you pay dividends to your customers?
Well, eventually that's possible, but that's not really in the cards right now. Right now,
because a lot of coins out there are also paying dividends, but I get what you mean.
I don't really want to get into that right away.
Right.
My feeling right now is to keep things private, to do private raises, to get people excited about our project. I don't want the token necessarily be, there's too many tokens out there that are just like, trying to sell it so that, this is where yeah, that'd be great. If we all have tokens that go up in value, that's wonderful. But you have to build an infrastructure in place, and that's the most important thing. So the gold token, one of the things that's really great about it is we're going to actually back it with our own USD. So we actually have backing of it, and it's going to work like a bank.
That's quite important.
Yep, and we're going to be loaning it out to the specific dealers at points, and they're going to actually pay interest on that money. So the investors, whether it's us or other investors that put money in, will actually they'll be making money on their initial investment as well as it being saved. We're going to be paying interest to the dealers that actually keep tokens in their wallet, because they're constantly going to be spending money back and forth. And it's going to almost be like PayPal, but the difference is that it's going to be paying them interest. So it'll be good for them to hold on to the token, which is, again, we're teaching them about token economics and cryptocurrency without them necessarily knowing it. All they have to know is that they're making money by keeping it in their wallet. So as we building this around, and having this use of the token going back and forth, the game itself will be based on points. And straight away, users will get 1,000 points just to start. We haven't figured out how many points per dollar or per gold token that will be.
I just want to stop you, break down the game. What is it that you're giving out, which my audience understands what it's about, sort of thing?
Well, it's just a trivia game. So this is based on all the different coinage that we do. I'm going to be crowdsourcing all of the questions by some of the best academics in my industry to actually write the questions and the answers. They'll all be based on the images that are shown. So an image will pop up, and they'll give you a question with 3 answers. You have to pick it. If you get it right, you get points. If you lose it, you lose points.
Right.
You're given 1,000 points to get at the beginning. At some point, if you want to take those points and trade them into the gold token that's being used in the platform, you'll be able to go into the marketplace and actually buy real coins. We're also going to have movie tickets. We're going to have tickets to museums.
That's pretty good.
So, and we should be able to do that with the QR code. It shouldn't be very difficult. In the United States, we have AMC, which is a national company that has QR codes. So we'll be able to tie that in, and which is great for kids because they want to be able to not necessarily buy coins, but maybe they want to go to a movie. I have 3 kids. I asked them, would you rather have a coin or a movie ticket? They're, of course, said a movie ticket. So you have to give the users a reason to actually play the game. We're also going to have tournaments where we'll have sponsors, and this is another way we're going to be making money for Artified. There's lots of ways that we're going to be making money for Artified, not just over the token, but actually about the game itself. So there are going to be companies that are going to give us sponsors of specific contests or of tournaments, and then there'll be cash money, whether that's in points or actually in gold token. That'll be paid out to them. So there'll be a connection between the marketplace that we're developing, the gold token, as well as the game itself, and there'll be a tie between the two.
So you got like different coins, different sort of areas that you're kind of I mean, break down some of the coins you have, like that you're actually displaying to your customers and the ones that are looking into it.
So, I mean, we're still in development, so we haven't gotten there yet. But there'll be a gold token and there'll be a silver token. Eventually, the silver token is the one that we will make an ICO out of. But that's down the road. It's not until we have adoption of the gold token. We have the game. Right now, iOS is still in development. We're almost done with it. And there'll be a web version, and then we'll move to Android. And then we're also going to start building out the marketplace. So we have got to build the marketplace. We have to finish the iOS. We have to build Android. We got to get gold token working within the industry company that we're tying with, and I've got to get that working and beautifully orchestrated before I even think about an ICO. So it's far down the road. Hopefully that'll be next year. That's my plan. It's all moving very fast. But it's moving fast in a good way. So my first tie was to get equity within this other company, which I'm also a board member on, which is great. So once I have that, and the other thing is that, I want to build most of the investors based, if I can, within my own industry, because I want them excited about the project. If I have somebody from the crypto world coming over, that's fine. But the reality is, I went to Consensus in New York. Unless you're ready to put down $100,000 in marketing, no one's going to hear you. You're just another project. So I need to really prove it to the crypto world that we're for real. And so I've got to really build that out and get that all going.
I'm hoping we can do like a follow-up and, get out in a few weeks' time, man. I mean, I'm growing myself nearly 30, getting to 30,000 followers. And it's great how transparent you are about, what's happening with Artified and stuff. I want to know is what are you doing now with this technology? I mean, you briefly told my audience about why you started the project. Where's your goal, man? I mean, where are you going in the future with this? Obviously blockchain is evolving and stuff. How is Artified, so I can tell my audience when they want to look it up, is where are you going now in the future, and what is in store?
Well, what's in store, what my long-term goals are, is to actually have a platform where anybody can come and search any art form. So it doesn't have to be coins and antiquities. It can be paintings. It can be, now we're getting into, people are actually collecting old video games. It can be anything. It can be anything. We'll have quizzes based on that as well as the fact that I would like our gold token to eventually be used across all art forms. And so you could use our token to actually buy any art anywhere in the world immediately. So
that's amazing, man. Goal. So any piece of art you want to kind of list it on the platform to make sure that everyone can gain access to it, right? And use the tokens to make those purchases, or
Yeah, the website that that we're merging with for the marketplace, they're just doing coins right now, but they're going to move into jewelry, into video games. I mean, it's going to go on and on and on and on and on. There really is no end for it.
Right.
Our end game is to keep building and to keep building trust in each one of the marketplaces and industries that we go into.
Right.
So luckily in our industry, we know a little bit about everything. And so we end up branching into other areas very easily because it just takes a couple of people and then boom, you're right into it.
And to be honest, Artified, he wants to get the real guys, the investors. That's your market, right? You want good. The customers are your bread and butter of any business, right? They're like they're the foundation. Who's going to be your customers, and how are you going to reach
right
out?
Now, my customers are Joe Schmo off the street. I mean, I sell ancient coins for, 2,000-year-old coins you think are very valuable. They can be bought as little as $5 for a 2,000-year-old coin, up to $1 million. So, my clients are professors, lawyers, doctors, just regular, I have accountants. I've got heads of, CEOs of big Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
And then I've got guys that are electricians. So
you've got a very type.
Pretty much anybody who's into it. And so, my long-term goal with Artified is to actually build a beast that kind of takes care of itself and creates an environment where anybody can learn anything about art, coins, whatever they want. And let that kind of run itself and kind of keep building momentum. I'm still going to be dealing in ancient coins and artifacts until the day I die because I love what I do. So if I meet a couple of new clients along the way and keep serving them and serving the greater interests of my industry, great. But if this beast that I create with Artified keeps building and growing and creates something beautiful, that's really all I care about. If I make money off of it, great. If I don't, it is what it is. I still make money in what I do. So
I hope my audience can check you out and maybe even be some of your customers that will, check out Artified and what it is. What a great answer, buddy. And my final question, before we wrap this up is, where is your roadmap going? Where are you going in the next 6 months? I mean, I want to share like as much information to my 25,000 followers of what's going on, what's happening.
Well, hopefully by Q4 of this year, we should have iOS for the game released, and we'll have, I already have about 2,300 people ready to sign up for the game through the Facebook page, and I opened the Facebook page up a month ago, so we already had 2,300 people already follow us. So I'm not concerned about getting the users on there. Getting the web open as well. I'm hoping by Q2 of next year, we'll have Android in the marketplace set up and ready to go. And hopefully by next summer, we'll have a gold token already adopted and ready to go within the platform that we're building on.
So there you go, guys. Aaron's just given us a great breakdown of what Artified is. It's a privilege to interview him about his concept, about what's going on in this industry. Especially, it's one of my first interviews that I've done sort of in an antique sort of business interview. And Aaron's been very transparent. Where can we find you, Aaron? Give us your website details. Give us as much information so I can market this out to my followers. And obviously, guys, Aaron's a great guy. Follow his business, follow what they're doing. They are revolutionizing this technology. So, Aaron, where can we find you?
You can go to artified.io. You can find me on Facebook, Aaron Berk, B-E-R-K, and I'll friend you if you want to friend me back. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well. The Artified website has the white paper up there, but it doesn't actually have all of the gaming, because that actually has come up in the last 3 or 4 months. So we have changed some of what we're doing, but it's a pretty extensive white paper. It actually shows all of the positive and negatives about my industry, and actually where blockchain can actually improve my industry. So that's coming from an industry leader like myself. And I did want to mention one last thing. So our competitor is called Codex. And just to give you an idea, they're only going to be working primarily on pedigree, from what I understand. They've already raised from VCs 12 million. So you know, it's already proven that there is a need for this in blockchain, that people are
Right.
actually putting money behind the project. I believe our project's better because it's going to offer vetting as well as a payment. And also, I'm not a tech guy. I am an industry leader who's going to try to make this happen in my industry. So I'm coming from the other direction. So, so I think that's a big advantage.
Leader, right? You're gonna lead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
So
right,
thank
guys.
you so much for the interview. I really appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate it. And I think we should do a
I'll
follow-up.
work on my hat.
Yeah, you should get your hat on. Like, hopefully in the next one, we'll have a hat, like I say, and we'll get that rolling out. I'm sure my audience will love to know what's going on with Artified. I always do follow-ups. It's always great for the business, great for people to see this, get as many eyes and views to see this. So it's a privilege to interview, Aaron. And that's a wrap, guys. So that's all about Artified. Do check it out. It's going to be amazing, and it's great to get him on board. All right, guys. So thanks very much. That's a wrap. Peace. Bye.